Quiet Place Day One is the third installment in the Quiet Place franchise. Directed by Michael Sarnoski and starring Lupita Nyong'o, who plays Samira, a cancer patient trapped in Manhattan on the first day of an invasion by alien monsters who have no eyes but do possess ultrasonic hearing. With the other two movies being set in rural areas, I love that they flip the script here and set the prequel in one of the most densely populated, loud places on Earth, New York City. Samira doesn't have much time left and she's deeply unhappy, living a listless existence and counting down the days until she dies. But when the world is thrown into an apocalyptic state, her cancer takes a back seat, and it's then that she ironically begins to finally fight for her life. Lupita was facing a mammoth task with this role. She had to carry the entire movie without barely saying a word, and she pulls it off incredibly well. Her eyes and face are so expressive that you can read exactly what she's thinking and feeling. You know, some people might say, oh, well, that's an easy paycheck for Lupita, she barely has to learn any lines. But the opposite is true. She can't hide behind the text, and she has to convey a huge amount of information without opening her mouth, which isn't easy. Her adorable cat, Frodo, is a great addition to the movie. Samira is pretty standoffish with people, but Frodo brings out her soft side, and we see that she is a loving character, she's just in a lot of pain. And because none of the other characters are allowed to speak, Frodo ends up feeling like as much of a presence as the rest of them, because he's not being drowned out by other people's dialogue. And I'm not entirely sure how the cat knows that he shouldn't meow or make any noise when there's aliens around, but we'll ignore that plot hole because he's cute. Usually there's safety in numbers, right? The school of fish mentality. But in this scenario, being in a big crowd will get you killed, because if just one of you makes a peep, you're all dead. That's what makes Manhattan one of the worst places you could possibly be in this situation, so Samira understandably tries to isolate herself from the crowd. But she ends up reluctantly teaming up with a persistent tag-along named Eric, played beautifully by Joseph Quinn. And their dynamic reminded me a bit of Marlin and Dory in Pixar's Finding Nemo. Nemo's dad, Marlin, is grumpy and serious, and he ends up bumping into Dory, who is his polar opposite with silly, chaotic energy. A pessimist meets optimist dynamic. Eric is an anxious mess, and Samira helps him to calm down and to center his energy. And then in return, Eric shows her that even in the worst of circumstances, you can still find glimpses of joy and reasons to smile. And just like Lupita, Joseph Quinn has these huge, expressive eyes, and the two of them are able to communicate so much without saying a word. Their chemistry was really sweet. And again, the writers flip the script here, because instead of the protagonists being these close-knit family members, they're complete strangers, and we get to see them develop their relationship without being able to share more than a handful of words. It's really fascinating. And the tension in the cinema was palpable. Like, it was so stressful that I had fingernail marks in the palm of my hand from clenching my fist so hard. The premise of A Quiet Place lends itself to the smallest things becoming intensely dramatic. A simple task like opening a can of tuna becomes a life or death situation, where the noise of the can might get you killed, but you still gotta eat. I could barely hear a noise from anyone else in the cinema. It felt like if we ate our popcorn a little too loud, those aliens would jump out from the screen and eat us as well. The cinematography and the CGI were top notch. When the aliens open their mouth and you see all of the flesh, tendons and sharp teeth, it looks super authentic. The sound design is also phenomenal, and another good reason to go see it in theaters. If I have any criticisms, it's that it did start getting a bit repetitive towards the end, you know? There was a lot of, oh no, there's an alien nearby, let's be really still and quiet and hope it doesn't eat us. Oh good, it walked past, we're safe. And that kind of happened quite a few times. I mean, is this movie as groundbreaking as the first one? Well, no, but it does expand on the premise and show it to us from a different perspective, a different time, place, and context, which is really interesting. And it was really entertaining. I was genuinely engaged the entire time, not bored for a second. So I'm going to give A Quiet Place Day One a 7 out of 10. So if you're a fan of the Quiet Place franchise, then I definitely recommend watching this prequel. And if you're a fan of my content, then I recommend watching my other videos, which you can find here. And to those of you who have subscribed, thank you. I really appreciate the support. And to those of you who haven't subscribed, well, you know what to do. I'll see you guys soon.